Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm actually super excited to get started on this project today. There has been so many speed bumps and hiccups across the last year that honestly, I'm just super pleased that we can start working on this. Like the title says, this is the 2.5-inch Off-Road Evolution suspension kit that I'm going to be installing on our new to us 2021 EcoDiesel Wrangler Rubicon, okay? So the reason why I'm saying that, if you guys are new to the page, please like, subscribe, share this if this is kind of stuff you like to watch. But the reason I'm saying this, for those of you guys who've been following me for a while know that I bought wifey a year ago a really heartfelt congratulations sentimental present, which was a new 2021 EcoDiesel off the showroom floor. And fast forward to a couple weeks ago, somebody rear-ended her and totaled that ride, okay? That's all I really can say because we're still in the middle of the process of all that. The other one has been totaled out. She is doing much better. And in an effort to get forward progress on this, I wanted to do this video and kind of discuss current climate and environment, but also show you what we have here and kind of go through my thought process and why I chose certain things. One, I should note that this isn't exactly the kit that I want. But it is the one that is available at the moment. And the way that we're going to do this, it's going to be a series of videos. You're going to see how I can, even though it's hard to get certain products at the moment, I'm still going to be able to build this and use it as we go along, okay? So let's give you a quick overview of the EcoDiesel. Right now we're seeing about 27 mpg combined in my wife's commute. She does use it to commute to work. It is, I have hair on my face, geez. It is also our family rig. You guys know I've been in behavioral health for 14 years now, so I typically have one of my foster kids with me. We have our own three. The baby is one now, so we have our three kids. And the point of this is, one, to still have a Wrangler, but it also still has a third row, and then to avoid getting into like the Suburbans and Escalades and all that other stuff. If you guys follow me while I was looking for the car, that whole process was just, yeah, it is what it is. So I do have a custom third row. If you want to see the installation of that video, I think it's called 8-Seater Turbo Jeep, I think is the old episode that I did on it. And you can just go see how I did that there. So this one has a third row. It's got a safety rating. It's got seat belts, and it gives me the opportunity to, up my capability with kids in it. Ooh, I should also note that when the last Jeep was rear-ended, the third row did not see any damage. It's set up a lot in the same way that your two-wheel drive, your two-door Wranglers are set up. So in the event of a rear impact, well, the one that we had anyways, everything was fine. I was able to pull that out of the vehicle, okay? So family rig, daily commuter for Jeannie, huge MPGs on the EcoDiesel, 27 combined, right? So when we're on our trips, it should see upwards of 29, maybe 30, which gives us around just under a 500-mile range. I want to maintain that. That's the reason why we chose the EcoDiesel, is for that, So the kit that you see in front of us is a 2.5-inch Off-Road Evolution kit. It's going to give me the capability to run 37s. So in order to maintain everything and try to make this the ultimate family adventurer / preparedness vehicle, crawler, overlander, rocklander, a fusion of all those things, I think that this height and setup is going to be what you're looking for if you are doing something like this. I purchased this. This is with my own money. I also purchased the 4.5-inch Off-Road Evolution Evo manufacturing kit that's on the Gladiator. So if you're asking, this is not a sponsor vid. This is something that I put my money in, but also kind of want to go over and give you guys some opinions as to why I'm doing this. This is going to be probably a 2 or 3 part series, because today is just going to be focused on the suspension. There are a couple of other things that will come into play, like programming Taser Mini, the Toyo tires, the wheels, and that'll be in a separate video. Okay, today we're going to try and focus on suspension. This is the kit that I could get in the current climate. We briefly talked about on my other sources the supply chain issues, worker issues, there being shortages in like rubber, and I mean the whole world's kind of in a mess right now, and you see that reflected in the price point of new vehicles. So the hard part for me in finding wifey an all white on white Jeep, which was her specs, okay, and for me I wanted to get a Rubicon, for her. It was difficult. So it took me several weeks to do research, and essentially I jumped on this one as soon as it became available, and I actually avoided that. I think it's a $30,000 markup for brand new vehicles off the showroom floor right now, just because, some say the dealership's only getting 1 or 2 a year, so they got to make their money. Some are saying, they're price gouging them. I don't know. I'm not paying that nonsense. So I found a used, new to us, 2021, with a little bit less miles and a couple of more upgrades actually than the last one we had. So we're very pleased with that. So let's get started. 2.5-inch off-road Evolution lift. This one has front coils, bump stops. It's got the sway bar links that are going in the rear, and then the rear come to the front. More bump stops in the front. This is the rear track bar relocation and reinforcement bracket. And then it has the shock relocations, because I'm going to use the factory shocks. Mainly because shocks are hard to come by right now. At the time of me ordering this stuff, shuffling all this nonsense and disaster that was happening, this is, like I said again, the kit that I can get, not exactly what I want. But what's cool about Off-Road Evolution and this system is I can add things like the control arms, all 8 control arms at a later date. Because it's only 2.5 inches, we still should be able to maintain a pretty good ride. There's also some overland brackets that'll drop everything down that I've also ran, like let's say on my Gladiator, that I can do later. This is what I need, quote unquote need, to get a good foundation, and I can, like I said, add to it later. The other videos that I'm gonna do are gonna be steering. So I have a full steering from Steer Smarts. That's another video. We'll talk about that too. Like I said, Taser Mini, and then the 37s that I'm gonna run. When you're setting up your rig, you need to decide tire size first, and then you build around tire size, okay? The 2.5-inch lift will give me the capability on the Rubicon because it's got the Highline fenders. And what's really great, and why I have really fallen in love with my Jeeps and Wranglers and Gladiator over the years, is yes, they do cost a little more than other options on the market. However, you can spend less like this and get more out of a factory setup rig, okay? That might sound a little confusing, but what I'm trying to say is there aren't really other vehicles that can manage 37s from the factory with minor upgrades like that. And that's what makes Jeep so great. The other thing too is, I consider this a utilitarian vehicle. It's not gonna be like your other mid-size SUVs in the market, right? This one's gonna take you to hell and back. And I've done it with all my other Wranglers in the past. You guys have seen that if you've been following me for a while. This is, let's see, I've had 2 JKs and 3 JLs now. So this is the 5th Wrangler, and then my Gladiator. So, without further delay, let's go ahead and install that. If you have any other questions, I'm not gonna really get into too much detail about like torque specs and stuff like that. There's a lot of really great install videos that you can reference for that. I just wanna show you my thought process and also get you outlined on how I'm setting this, why, and this is the stuff that I use. Good deal? Let's get started. All right, so what I'm doing here is loosening up the lugs while the weight of the vehicle's on it. You want to do that so it just doesn't spin. If you prop it up, you won't be able to do that. But first we're taking off the wheels and tires. We're going to take off man, I'm out of breath here. We're going to take off the sway bar links, and then we're going to loosen up the track bar. And we're also going to loosen up the control arms. Those have a bushing in the middle of them, and you tighten them after everything is settled so that you don't inadvertently tighten in a load on them, and then we'll just tear them to pieces because we're still using the factory ones, okay? So I'm gonna loosen all that up so we can droop out the suspension and then just start pulling things out. It's also important to note that any of the stuff you see today can be easily done in your garage, which is also part of the reason why I like Evo, but also Jeep. There we go. So I have a jack stand on the frame, and I have a jack stand under the axle, and we're gonna do the same on the other side too. First, let's take this wheel off. It's got a little bit of pressure on it now. There we go. I'm trying to be careful not to smash my hand like I did the last time. So freaking accident prone, man. Use a little persuasion. Cool. You won't be needing these anymore. Cool. So I have track bar, front sway bar link. Let's move over to the shock. Okay, so everything is loosened. What I'm gonna do is lower the jack stand. This is where you gotta be careful. I'm also going to be releasing the ABS. Little mounting points are all plastic. And then as you stretch the suspension down, keep an eye out. Oops, see, that was a little too fast. Keep an eye out for anything that may get damaged in the process, because I have had a couple of bros who've messed this part up and then started talking a bunch of trash about Jeeps. And they're the ones who messed it up. Go down slowly. Everything is clearancing just fine. Here we go. All the way down the ground. Okay, there we go. FAD needs to be released a little bit. But look, there we go. See how that can come out now? What if I can just push that out of the way? There we go. And it will start to droop out. What's hard about the front though, there we go. Let me see if I can lower it just a little bit without, there we go. You just have to be careful. This is from the factory. This is the TerraFlex 1-inch spacer kit that's in it. You never know what you're gonna get. There it is. That's what I pulled out. Okay, so I'm about to put everything back together. I have the original, I think it's called a spring isolator. I could be wrong, I don't remember. The original part from the factory. It has the nipples on it that go into their designated spot, so you can't put that in wrong. Just make sure that aligns. I pulled out that TerraFlex 1-inch spacer kit, and now I have to address bump stops. So you can see here on the bottom, this kit came with 2 and they total 3 inches. If I get rid of the little one, that's another 1/2 inch, so 2.5. I got online, checked to see if there was an explanation for them, couldn't find it, called in, no one's there, probably because of the new year, and it's Sunday as I'm shooting this. So what I'm going to do is go with the 2.5, being that I don't want to bump to 3, and then if I need to go back in afterwards, I can add this. I'd rather go this direction first and check clearances. So that's my thought process behind it. Make sure you get the hardware. There's a couple ways to do this. Where's that coil? You can secure this with a zip tie. I'm not going to, well, let's see if I can do it like this, and if it becomes too much of an issue, then I'll go back. And I've got so much droop on it. Non-issue, okay? So what I'm gonna do is make sure that that goes in, and then make sure that this rests in correctly for now. What I'm going to do is put a little bit of pressure on that. But before, let's go ahead and bolt down that bump stop. I think that'll be good. Yeah. Okay. Bump stop is in. I also had to unbolt the bracket for the brake lines and the speed sensor. So we'll get in underneath it. Well, it's already underneath it, and raise it up so it's on its own pressure, and then I'll retighten everything else out. Okay. And that one's in, and that one is in. Okay, good. So it's aligned. Now we just need to move up, making sure we don't pinch anything else. Cool. Get a jack stand. Go a little higher. Okay, I'm gonna lower it just a little bit. we go. So I'm gonna start tightening everything up, and then we're gonna head over to the other side and copy everything we did on this side to that side. There we go. See how easy this one is? Because I already got the other side up. So, like I had stated before, this was the last piece of the order to come in, and these were on back order for a little bit, so glad these finally came in. Bump stops. All right, actually this is the last side. I'm super filthy. So this is the bracket, the relocation bracket. I have to drill a second hole, so one bolt will go in, there's already an established hole, I'll mark it, and then drill it to 3/8, and then we'll continue. Double check that this bolt will fit. Yep. Okay, almost done. I have the coils in, the new sway bar links are done up top, and I just need to put the bottom bolt in. I have to raise the axle to do that, but the relocation brackets for the shock are in. And after I dial in that link, all I need to do is the rear relocation bracket, which is here. But I'm gonna wait to do that for the next video, which will also entail the front steering. Finally, guys, I have completed the 2021 Jeep Wrangler EcoDiesel in the Rubicon trim. The only specification for wifey was white fenders and the white top. So this thing is done in terms of suspension, wheels, and tires. If you watched since the beginning, you know that we've had a couple of issues with the last couple. Yes, this is the second one, like we stated earlier in the video. I'm just really excited and pleased that we could get through the supply chain issues, you know, the rubber shortage, chip shortages, the accident, and then now waiting for like rear coils to get here from the factory. So it's just a sign of the times. Super excited. I think this one has a little bit more sentimental value now because we went through all that first world problems just to get it done. But here it is. Thanks again for sticking with me this long, guys. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. Now all we need to do is gather the fam, get everybody loaded up, and get this thing out on the trail. Catch you on the next one.